Thorin Oakenshield and his company of dwarves were on a quest. They aimed to reclaim their homeland Erebor from the fearsome dragon Smaug, but danger lurked at every turn. Azog the Defiler, a pale orc with a burning hatred for Thorin's kin, pursued them relentlessly. His warg riders were fast and deadly. They would not rest until every dwarf lay dead. Gandalf the Grey, a wise wizard and their guide, knew they needed help. He led them towards the home of Beorn, a powerful skin changer who could aid them in their fight. The company was wary of Beorn. This was understandable. He was a creature of immense strength and unpredictable nature, but Gandalf assured them that Beorn was their only hope. They were running out of time. Azog was closing in. The fate of their entire quest rested on this one encounter. Far away in the shadowed lands of Dol Guldur, an ancient evil stirred. The necromancer, a shrouded figure of immense power, summoned Azog. His voice, cold and sharp as shattered ice, commanded the orc to redouble his efforts. The dwarves must not reach Erebor. The necromancer had a new task for Azog. He was to unleash his son, Bolg. He would lead the hunt for Thorin. A more ruthless and cunning orc, Bolg would stop at nothing to complete his mission. The fate of Middle-earth hung in the balance. The forces of darkness were gathering. A shadow was spreading across the land. Gandalf led the company to the edge of Mirkwood. This was a vast and ancient forest. It was a place of deep shadows and ancient magic. Beorn had warned them of its dangers. The paths were treacherous. The creatures that lurked within were best avoided. Gandalf felt a growing unease. He sensed a dark presence within the forest. It was subtle but unmistakable. He paused, examining an ancient ruin. Black speech, the language of Mordor, was carved into its surface. It was a chilling discovery. It confirmed his worst fears. The enemy was closer than they thought. The deeper they ventured into Mirkwood, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The air grew thick and heavy. The sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy. The company became disoriented, their senses dulled by the forest's magic. They stumbled into a clearing. Giant spiderwebs, glistening with dew, stretched between the trees. They were trapped. Giant spiders descended, their eyes gleaming with malice. The dwarves, their axes useless against the sticky webs, were quickly overwhelmed. Only Bilbo Baggins, the reluctant hobbit who had joined their quest, remained free. He drew his small sword, sting, and charged into the fray. Bilbo's courage, fueled by desperation and loyalty to his companions, surprised even the spiders. He fought with a ferocity they hadn't anticipated. Their escape from the spiders brought no relief. The company was captured by the wood elves of Mirkwood. They were suspicious of the dwarves and their quest for gold. Thorin, ever proud and stubborn, refused to reveal their true purpose. He was brought before Thranduil, the Elven King. He was a regal and imposing figure with an air of cold authority. Thorin demanded their release. He reminded Thranduil of the ancient debt owed to his people. The elves remained unmoved. They were content to keep the dwarves as prisoners. Thorin's frustration grew. He knew that time was running out. He had to find a way to escape. His quest, his birthright, depended on it. Bilbo, unnoticed by the elves, devised a daring plan. He had discovered a secret passage leading to the river that flowed beneath the Elven King's halls. He managed to steal the keys to their cells. He then led the dwarves to a platform where empty barrels were stored. They would be their escape vessels. Their escape was fraught with danger. The elves discovered their plan and gave chase. The dwarves, crammed into barrels, tumbled down the rapids. They dodged arrows and navigated treacherous currents. In the chaos, Kili, the youngest dwarf, was struck by a poisoned arrow. Their freedom had come at a terrible cost. While the dwarves journeyed towards Lake Town, Gandalf parted ways with them. He had sensed a growing darkness. He was determined to uncover the truth behind it. His investigation led him to the High Fells, a desolate and wind-swept plateau. There he discovered ancient tombs that had been disturbed. He recognized them instantly. They were the burial chambers of the Nazgûl, the 9 ring-wraiths in service to Sauron. The tombs were empty. This discovery chilled Gandalf to the core. Sauron, the Dark Lord, was returning to power. He had to warn the others. The fate of Middle-earth hung in the balance. He set off with all haste, hoping that he wasn't too late. The dwarves, exhausted and wounded, finally reached Lake Town. This was a community of humans who lived on wooden platforms built over the long lake. They were wary of strangers. Thorin, however, was desperate. He needed their help. He approached the master of Lake Town. He was a greedy and opportunistic man, easily swayed by promises of wealth. Thorin promised the master a share of the treasure they hoped to reclaim from Smaug. The master, blinded by greed, agreed to help them. He provided them with supplies and guides. Kili, still weak from the poisoned arrow, was unable to continue. He remained in Lake Town under the care of the townsfolk. After a perilous journey across the lake, the company finally reached the Lonely Mountain. There, hidden among the cliffs, was the secret entrance to Erebor. Bilbo, using his wit and agility, managed to find the hidden keyhole. He turned the key. The door groaned open, revealing a passage that led deep into the mountain. The air within was thick with the smell of gold and the lingering heat of dragon fire. As they ventured deeper, Bilbo felt a growing sense of dread. He stumbled upon a vast chamber, its floor piled high with gold and jewels, and there, coiled atop the hoard, lay Smaug. The dragon's eyes snapped open, burning with ancient malice. Bilbo had awakened a sleeping giant. News of Smaug's awakening reached Lake Town like a thunderbolt. Panic gripped the townsfolk as they realized the danger they were in. Bard, a skilled archer and descendant of the former Lord of Dale, knew that they had to act quickly. He prepared his weapons, determined to protect his people. Meanwhile, Bolg and his orc army were approaching Lake Town. They had followed the dwarves' trail and were intent on claiming the treasure of Erebor for themselves. The people of Lake Town were caught in a desperate struggle for survival. Gandalf arrived at the orc army's rear. He confronted the necromancer in a battle of unimaginable power. The fate of Middle-earth hung in the balance as the two wizards clashed. The very air crackled with magic. Meanwhile, the company, trapped inside Erebor, desperately searched for a way to defeat Smaug. They knew that they stood little chance against the dragon's fire. They had to find a weakness, a way to exploit the dragon's arrogance. Their survival and the fate of Lake Town depended on their ingenuity.